Hi, everybody. Vincent from Homeric here. I'm super happy to welcome you on a video to present and demo a new feature on PostHog, which is evaluations for the LLM analytics feature. Before we dive into this, let me maybe set some context about this video because it's a new format and it's a new type of content that we are creating. The idea here is to offer something different to the community in 2026. To be very honest, we're a bit fed up with all the content we can see on LinkedIn. Many people, saying, "Oh, we are thought leaders. I have a lot of theory. I have a lot of thinking to share." But we believe that at the end, one, it's not very helpful to the product managers and to the product teams, and two, this is not real, right? This remains just people thinking and sharing opinions. And we are very lucky at Homeric because we are working with the teams, we are in the trenches, into the field, and we are actually doing a lot. So we thought that as a way to contribute to the community, we don't want to add noise to the noise with just more, LinkedIn posts and those kind of things, but we could really try to showcase, how product teams work and how great PMs and great teams are working in a different way. Of course, part of that is product analytics and making sure you can have the best possible muscle regarding data and insight generation. And we should just show to the people how we work. So as you might or might not know, with Homeric, we also develop AI engines to accelerate how you use Jira and PostHog. So that's great, right? We can really showcase how we work with PostHog, how and why we believe it's the best analytics platform that all the product teams should use. By the way, we don't have any partnerships. We don't have any incentives working with PostHog. It's just that we fell in love with that tool, right? It's really a game changer for the product managers and the product teams. So in this video, we'll focus on, showcasing a new feature. It's going to be 10 minutes long, maybe just a bit longer due to this introduction. And we will keep this very informal, right? No editing, nothing. It's really just about, hey, let's imagine you go to work and you work with PostHog. This is just how it works. So just real stuff. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, feel free to comment the videos, to reach out to me on LinkedIn. We'll be, of course, happy to answer your questions, because evaluations are a big topic in AI and product management. By the way, a quick reaction to all the LinkedIn stuff that we can see, people saying that if you are not skilled with evaluations, you are obsolete as a product manager. I would not say that. Of course, the more we will develop LLM-based features, the more we need ways, right, to test and understand how those features behave. But if you're not an expert at evaluations, you don't know what it is, please don't feel any FOMO about this. You are not late. You are not missing anything for the moment. And those videos could be a great way for you to understand in a very practical way what to do, and you will see that it's not so complicated. Of course, working on very advanced and sophisticated systems, it's a real challenge, but this is not what product teams need in, 95% of cases. So no worries, and try to enjoy, what could be evaluations. If you have never worked with that video will be a great way to have a good understanding of real use cases. Okay, so let's dive into it. And first, maybe before we start going into PostHog, I will move myself to the bottom corner here. I would just like to explain how you activate the feature with PostHog. So let's go here, and I'm sorry, but we are losing my picture for a bit. Thank you, Loom, not switching across tabs. But what you need to understand is how you activate the LLM analytics feature with PostHog. So first, of course, you have your application, right? And your user is going to use your application. And because you have an LLM-based feature, at some point, your application will connect to the LLM. So in your code somewhere, you have what we call LLM clients. So a piece of code that will connect to the LLM API. And what happens is that when you want to track the activity with PostHog of your LLMs, you're going to have this cloud-based feature on the PostHog platform, but you need, of course, to send data. So the way that we send data is that by implementing what we call a wrapper. So it's going to encapsulate your LLM client into the app. And so what's happening is that when you have users, sending a prompt to your application, it's going to go to the LLM client. The LLM client then will communicate with the API. Of course, then the LLM will run, generate a response, and the response will go back right to the user. With a wrapper, it's going to intercept, what's happening and scan the data, and it's going to send statistics, different data points to PostHog so they can log the activity and then calculate different stats about, how many tokens you've been using. And we're going to use that to also send the generations to PostHog so we can run evaluations on them and check that all our LLM-based features behave. So, of course, to activate LLM Analytics, there is this wrapper that needs to be installed. This is something in addition to the activation of analytics tracking. So just something, of course, to be aware of. But this is just as simple as that. And then as with your team, you will connect to PostHog and get access to the logs, plus some extra features. So PostHog is working on summaries. It's a way to summarize how the LLM thought about in a discussion, how they unfold the reasoning to explain how a given response was generated. This is a beta feature, work in progress, but at least you're aware that they're working on this. And then we have the beta features with evaluation. Of course, just like any beta features, it's not perfect, it's still work in progress. So it's possible that one of the conclusions of this video for you could be, okay, not ready for us, and that's perfectly okay. There is no need to rush. But if you want to start experimenting or understanding how you could leverage this feature, of course, the beta phase is great, and feel free to share feedback with the PostHog team. They need it, right, to build the best possible platform. So let's go into it. So of course, you have all your collection of tools and features you have in PostHog, which is basically all the analytics product combined in one awesome platform. And you have the LLM Analytics feature. So the way it works is when you go to the feature, you have a dashboard saying, hey, this is how many evaluation here. So this is just how many let's get some real numbers. So that's just how many traces you have. Your conversations and turns, that's your cost. This is how many you can have, how many tokens you've been using and everything. So you can track all the usage. Something very important here that I love, because you don't really care about how many codes or those kind of things, but latency is super important. So what is the average response time of your LLMs? Is it stable, by the way? Do you have a lot of variation? So you have all the data in PostHog to make some all the charts you need, so you can really understand the performance aspect of your LLM-based features. So that's something super important. So we assume here that you already activated the LLM analytics, so you installed the wrapper, and then now you have access to a new feature called evaluations. So again, the objective of the evaluations is to assess if your LLM is creating responses and is behaving the way that is expected. So when you will arrive on that evaluations page, at the beginning, of course, you will have nothing here, and you will have the option to create evaluations. And then the evaluation will, and I'm going to move here, the evaluations will just appear in the list here. You will see if it's enabled or not, and you will be able to see how many runs, how often it's being used, and your pass rate. So when you want to create an evaluation, going again here, you will be able to select a template or create a new evaluation from scratch. It's not, you will see it's not very complicated. So starting from scratch is not a problem. You will just need to ask, what do I need to assess? So that's very important. The tool is not going to create the evaluations for you. You need to understand, what do I need to evaluate? What is important for me? Is it about the intent of my users. I want to make sure that they use the tool the right way. Is it about accuracy or hallucinations, right? You will need to understand what matters. Of course, at the beginning, you can create multiple evaluations to understand what's good or what's bad. But when it's time to operationalize, you may not want to evaluate everything all the time because, of course, it may become super expensive. So let's say here we want to test for jailbreaking. So we want to detect attempts by users to really bypass the LLM's instructions. So they try to manipulate, they ask the LLMs to forget what their intent is so they can, ask something different. So the way it's working, when you create an evaluation or use a template, you have a name description, you of course activate or not the evaluation, and then you have the prompt. And this is where you create what on LinkedIn or on social media, you will see a lot of content about judges. So it's really about how we create a judge prompt that will assess if the user prompt, respects what you wanted or not. And the idea is really to, at the end, give you a result like guilty, not guilty, right? It's like it's binary, true or false. So here it's about, can we detect attempts at manipulating the LLM? They explain how when you return true or false. And that's it. That's very simple. And you can have some very simple evaluations. You know what? It's better to create very short evaluations in 10 minutes and make sure you have some visibility on what's happening versus not doing anything or trying to create a perfect evaluation, right? Over 2 months, because you are just losing all the learning aspect of it. Something important to know with PostHog for the moment, we have a 2K characters limitation. It's a lot and not a lot at the same time. For a lot of prompts and evaluations, it's going to be more than enough. But sometimes we have specification files when we go into sophisticated evaluations. And so that for me, I would love to be able to attach a file or to just make sure I can copy and paste very long marked down stuff. But again, for the moment, you can connect your own LLM. They run most of the evaluations, so I understand there is a limit. But in the future, for a production grade feature, that's something that would be great to add. Then for me, what is really the very useful and valuable feature here is the addition of triggers. Because the way that we run evaluations most of the time now is we're going to extract from our database a subset of prompts that were executed by our users, and we will run manual campaigns. So we need to extract the prompts, we need to filter them. All those things take time. And then when we run them, maybe I'm going to do that every 2 weeks, once a month when I have the time to do it. So if there is a drift or a problem with our LLM-based feature, it may take a while before I can actually see it because I need to run a manual campaign, right, to do it. So what's awesome with PostHog is that the evaluation will run all the time. But of course, I don't want to run the evaluations on all the prompts that I get because, again, it would become too expensive and just useless, right? So having a sampling feature functionality here is awesome because you can decide, you know what, just run evaluations, every 3 prompts that we get from users. And that should give you enough. You want to set the sampling to get enough volume so you can quickly detect if you have a problem popping up. You don't want to wait for weeks, but at the same time, you don't need to assess everything when you have high volumes. So you have sampling plus filtering. So for example, here you could say, hey, you know what? I want to only run evaluations for a given country. So you could have a prompt for what's happening in the US. You could have a prompt for the prompts from Europe, because maybe the regulations or the rules could be different. Awesome, 2 different prompts, you filter, and then you can have 2 different types of evaluations for each region that you operate in. So that's great. A quick pro tip here, that's something that we do when you send properties, right? When you tag your events, LLM events, you can add something like a source just to make sure where it's coming from. So for example, here, for us, it allows us to make the difference between what's coming from the website or what's coming from the application, the mobile app, or any other sources. That's great. It's a way, again, to make sure we only apply the evaluations on what's relevant. And this is just as simple as that. Once you created your evaluation rules here, you click on create evaluation. I'm going to click on cancel because I already created one. And then it will just appear here in the list and you will see the runs. So something to know here, if you test out a feature, it's not real time. And for the moment, because it's in beta, I had a quick chat with a PostHog developer. They expect the evaluations to run maybe 10 minutes after the prompt happened, but it's not a guarantee, right? There is no SLA for the moment. So for me, testing the feature, sometimes I had to wait for multiple hours before the runs actually happened. So if you see nothing, it doesn't mean that it's broken or that you have a problem. Please, for the moment, because it's beta feature, wait a bit. But again, evaluations is not something that is part of a critical process, or it should not be. So it's acceptable to wait for a few hours. So of course, once you have it, please don't just click on refresh to wait for your first run. Be aware it may take some time. And then you can, of course, go into your evaluation and you will see the different runs, all the results. And what's great is that you will have a log explaining why you got the result that you got. So for example, here I have one attempt that was really trying to hijack our LLM. It's because, right, someone wrote, forget your instructions, right? You need to do something else, blah, blah, blah. And trying to, blackmail the LLM saying, hey, you need to forget your instructions or I will die, something like this, right? This is we would call that social engineering with humans. So maybe it's a kind of a AI social engineering. But again, you can understand the behaviors of your users and also the behavior of your LLMs here, and make sure that everything is okay. We set up the right guardrails for us, because when the attempt happened, well, we were able to detect it and generate the proper response. So that's it. That's the evaluation feature in a nutshell. This is just as simple as that. Then you can create as many evaluation rules as you want, and you can run them. Maybe one last detail about how do we operate that feature for the moment, going into the settings. So PostHog can run up to 100 evaluations per month for free for you. So you don't even need an LLM key or whatever. But of course, if you want to scale, you need to connect your own LLM to run the evaluations. For the moment, and that's too bad for us. That's why I don't have more data to show you. They only support OpenAI. We don't work with OpenAI. We won't work with OpenAI. So please add the Anthropic and Claude keys ASAP. But of course, when the feature will be ready, hopefully they will have a good list of providers, and you will run the evaluation. And this is how we will be able to scale, the usage of that feature. Okay, that's it for the evaluation. So of course, if you have any questions or if you have any comments, by the way, about this new format that we're using for our content, feel free to reach out and share some feedback. And we will also be super happy to answer your questions. And yeah, guys, have fun on PostHog, and see you very soon. Bye-bye.